Well, Shabbat Shalom. I want to welcome everyone to the Sabbath Day Conference Call. And this is Barbara as your host today, and Brother Pete is the co-host for you. And we just want to welcome everyone, and we want to invite everyone to go to our website, lunarsabbathday.com, for more information about New Moon Day, about Sabbath, and about the calendar in the heaven. And today's topic is New Moon Day a Sabbath? Can we work on New Moon Day?
Question: are New Moon days to be observed like the seventh-day Sabbath, or can we work on them? Answer: Scripture reveals that new moons, like the seventh-day Sabbath, are worship days. Isaiah 66:23 clearly reveals that in eternity future, Yahweh will be worshipped on both types of days. Quote, "And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Yahweh." Over here on the right, for those that are not familiar with this, we're looking at the moon phases. And the writer's world and timekeeping system was lunar-based. So they saw their weeks, operating inside of a lunar month from one new moon to another. So you had the month started at the new moon, which is where the moon is dark there, and then 7 days later, on the 8th day of the month, is when the first Sabbath of the month. Then on the full moon is the second Sabbath of the month. And then you have the other half, the third quarter, which is the third Sabbath. And then you have New Moon Day or New Moon period. And it starts like on the 29th, the seventh day, would be observed as a Sabbath, although Scripture never calls that day Sabbath. And then you have New Moon because the lunar cycle is longer than the 4 weeks require. So there is a interim, a pause, a restart, which we call New Moon, or the Scripture calls New Moon Day. And the question is, do we work, or shall we work, or should we work on that day?
Well, New Moon Day is neither a Sabbath nor a working day. New Moon Day is different in some aspects from the weekly Sabbath and the normal working days. There is no buying and selling on New Moon Day. Priestly work, including travel, is permitted, and the normal restrictions of the weekly Sabbath, like no cooking, for instance, does not apply to New Moon Day. New Moon Day sacrifices. These are found in Numbers 28:3 through 15. New Moon Day is neither a Sabbath day nor a working day, and it is a third category of day on which worship is commanded. And even the sacrifices were different as part of its distinction from other feasts. Of course, we don't do sacrifices now since Yeshua's death. But in Israel's time, the sacrifices on New Moon Day were much greater than even on a Sabbath. As you can see, there were 2 bulls, 1 ram, 7 lambs, and every day was a daily lamb, morning and evening, and the Sabbath had 2 lambs. So New Moon Day is a special worship day.
New Moon Day, a day that is specifically set apart for the worship, assumes that commerce, that is buying and selling to earn a living, will not be conducted on that day. Ezekiel 46:1 places new moons together with the seventh-day Sabbath as opposed to the other 6 working days. Quote, "Thus saith Yahweh, the inner gate, the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east, shall be shut the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath it shall be opened, and in the day of the new moon it shall be opened." So we see that we have a type 1 day, we'll call it, which are the work days. There are 6 of those in a row. Then we have a type 2 day, which is a Sabbath. It is the 7th day of each week. And then every 4 weeks, we have another kind of day, a type 3 day, is called the new moon, or New Moon Day.
So We did a video on this, the 3 types a day, so you can study it more in depth. The fact that new moons were to be kept free from buying and selling is established elsewhere in Amos 8:5, where again the activity performed on new moons, or in this case, the work abstained from on new moon days, is linked to the same restraint from work on the 7th-day Sabbath. In this passage, here in Amos 8:4 and 5, Jehovah is speaking, pointing out the sins of Israel. Hear this, O ye that swallow up the needy, even to make the poor of the land to fail, saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great, and falsifying the balances of deceit. If work were allowed on new moons, the backslidden people would not have been longing for the days of worship to be over so that they could go back to their selling and buying. And above it shows a lunar calendar again with a new moon as day 1, and then you have your Sabbaths lined up, 8, 15, 22, 29, and then the 6 working days each week, 6 working days and a Sabbath.
Exodus 16:23. Then he said to them, this is what Yahweh has said. Tomorrow is a Sabbath rest, a holy Sabbath to Yahweh. Bake what you will bake today, and boil what you will boil, and lay up for yourselves all that remains to be kept until morning. Exodus 16:23 establishes the principle that food eaten on the 7th-day Sabbath is to be prepared the day before. Exodus 16 further reveals that manna gathered on the preparation day did not spoil when kept until the Sabbath, even though on every other day it would spoil if they tried to preserve it until the next day. There is no command given to not cook food on new moons. Furthermore, there is no indication anywhere in Scripture that food gathered on the 6th day, that is preparation, was to be held over until 2 days later. Neither is there any supernatural preservation of the manna indicated for New Moon Day.
Priestly work or travel is permitted on New Moon Day. And here's an example of Noah. And Noah did according unto all that Jehovah commanded him, Genesis 7:5. And they that went in, male and female of all flesh, as Jehovah had commanded him, and Jehovah shut him in, Genesis 7:16. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the 1st month, the 1st day of the month, that is New Moon Day, the waters were dried up from off the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry, Genesis 8:13. Noah did all that was commanded of Jehovah in the above text. So he was acting as Jehovah's priest, carrying out priestly duties on New Moon Day, the 1st day of the month, by uncovering the ark, just as Moses did later on in history by covering the ark, Exodus 40:1-3.
Exodus 40:1-3. And Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, On the 1st day of the 1st month thou shalt set up the tabernacle of the tent of congregation, and thou shalt put therein the ark of the testimony, and cover the ark with the veil. And now Exodus 40:17-19, quote, And it came to pass in the 1st month, in the 2nd year, on the 1st day of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up, and Moses reared up the tabernacle, and fastened his sockets, and set up the boards therein, and put in the bars thereof, and reared up its pillars. And he spread abroad the tent over the tabernacle, and put the covering of the tent above it, as Yahweh had commanded Moses.
Okay, the following can be mentioned as priestly work on New Moon Day. However, kindly note that although the command came on the 1st day of the month, and the 1st day of the month is always New Moon Day, that's what sets the month. It begins the month. They began to perform the work. We're not sure if they started the performing of the work that day, but the order and the command came that day for Zerubbabel. This is all from Haggai 1. In the second year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, in the 1st day of the month, came the word of Jehovah by Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel, the governor of Judah, and to Joshua the son of Josedek, the high priest, saying, Thus speaketh Jehovah, saying, This people say, The time is not come, the time that Jehovah's house should be built. Go up to the mountain and bring wood and build the house, and I will take pleasure in it, and I will be glorified, saith Jehovah. Then Zerubbabel the son of Shealtiel and Joshua the son of Josedek, the high priest, with all the remnant of the people, obeyed the voice of Jehovah, their Elohim, and the words of Haggai the prophet, as Jehovah had sent him. And the people did fear before Jehovah.
Ezra went on a priestly journey, but note also that this text says he began his journey. It does not say how far, for how long he traveled on New Moon Day. Quote, For upon the 1st day of the month began he to go to Babylon, and on the 1st day of the 5th month came he to Jerusalem, according to the good hand of his Elohim upon him. Ezra 7:9.
Yeshua also later confirmed no guilt or blame for the priests who profaned the Sabbath by performing their commanded duties. Matthew 12:5, Yeshua says, Or have ye not read in the law how that on the Sabbath days the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are blameless?
However, for those not performing such priestly duties, time should be dedicated to worship both now and for eternity as commanded by Yahweh. This is Ezekiel 46:1-3. Thus saith Yahweh, The gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east shall be shut the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath it shall be opened, and in the day of the new moon it shall be opened. Likewise the people of the land shall worship at the door of this gate before Yahweh on the Sabbaths and in the new moon.
Be very careful to note, Jeremiah says, These alone worship Jehovah. Jeremiah 7:2. Take your stand at the gate of the temple of Jehovah and proclaim there the sign markers pertaining to this matter. Say, Listen attentively to the command of Jehovah. Whosoever of Judah, or spiritual Israel, that enters at the gate, these alone worship Jehovah.
Isaiah says they will continue to do so for eternity. Isaiah 66:23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Yahweh.
So only the lawless and disobedient will think of it as a burden or a bondage, as they do today, and yearn to continue in their wicked ways, saying, When will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small, and the shekel great, and falsifying the balances by deceit. Amos 8:5.
New Moon Day, a day of recommitment and worship. Today, most use New Moon Day as a special time of recommitment for the upcoming month. It is a day of looking back on the past month and rejoicing in the blessings given, while asking for forgiveness for wrongs committed. It is also an opportunity to look ahead to the upcoming month. New Moon Day is a wonderful time for gathering together with one's family and rejoicing in the blessings of heaven while recommitting oneself and one's family to Yahweh.
So to access more information about New Moon Day and about the Sabbath and about the calendar in the heaven, please go to our website, lunarsabbathday.com. So thank you for listening today, and we'll be back next week, God willing.